Do you think that there are implications to quarterback conversations if the Vikings win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold or if the Lions win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, or not, because both are also top 3 picks? So I can't really tell what to make of the overall quarterback conversation.
Yeah, no, I think the overall quarterback conversation is one we've been having more often lately, and it's good and it's healthy. Is situation always matters. You can be incredibly talented, but we see it with rookies coming in all the time. Is you can go to organizations that aren't in a position to either because the coach isn't up to the task or because the rest of the roster isn't up to the task to support that kind of talent. And all of a sudden, no matter when it is in your career, I mean, hell, Geno Smith in Seattle is a great testament to this. You can find the right place, the right fit, and the right organization, and all of a sudden it can make things completely different. And not for nothing, I think on the Jared Goff side of things, that's a testament to continuity. Like that Lions roster's been together for a while. That Lions offense coordinator, it's been the same voices and the same parts there for a while. And so while you can say that to some of the parts of the Vikings roster, it's a little less true, obviously, with Sam Darnold. I think there are some interesting additions to the quarterback conversations with these guys, and it always is going to go back to fit, the roster around you, but as much as anything, coaching in these situations mattering no matter how talented the quarterback is.
We obviously are going to watch the Seahawks take on the Rams on Sunday. Seahawks, unfortunately, not playing for a playoff spot. They've been officially eliminated. We had JB Long, who's the play-by-play man for the Rams, on the other day, Mike, and he said, look, the Rams could easily be where the Seahawks are. They kind of had, 5 or 6 things break their way. Were really good in short yardage situations, had, a big game here or there, especially against the Vikings and Bills, and that ended up being the difference. Do you see the Seahawks as being pretty close to this thing? Is there still a gap between them and the 49ers and Rams? Where do you see Seattle in the division?
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely right in that jumbled group there. These are all teams where, I think to some extent they're all, I don't know, I'd say for the 49ers and the Rams, they might be past the best version of this current roster. Like we saw the injuries up front for the Rams play such a big part this season. We know Stafford and Cooper Kupp are getting a little bit long in the tooth. But I think for the Seahawks, the thing that gives me hope with them going forward that they can maintain their place in this group is, one, the improvement the defense made over the course of this year, but then also the fact that the needs are pretty clearly defined. Like, you got to go out and find pieces this offseason. You got to go out and find the offensive line that the Rams have spent the last couple of years trying to build up in front of them and just, keep healthy for long enough. The 49ers, they have bigger problems. Like, they get the credit of being a competent organization. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been great pulling the strings and the levers as coach and the head of that front office, but they're going to have to pay the quarterback next year. And there's a bunch of guys that are getting paid a lot of money that have been important players for that team, that are older, that have been more oft injured, that were less effective this season, and it showed up with this team. And so I think that division is all kind of getting shuffled a little bit, and I do think the Seahawks are well positioned to take advantage of that.
I wanted to talk about what the quarterback market could look like entering this offseason. We already know who's at the very top of the draft. Seattle not looking at one of those picks. We've heard conversations about whether or not a team should trade for J.J. McCarthy, whether or not someone should try to sign Sam Darnold if the Vikings don't. We don't know what's going to happen, with Atlanta, with a couple other teams around the league with their quarterback situations. Do you see any interesting names entering the conversation this offseason?
I mean, the only interesting one to me right now is there anything that someone could send to Minnesota that could pry J.J. McCarthy out of there? Just because the Sam Darnold's such a surprise, and I think it's in everyone's best interest for that marriage to stick around. Like, I don't know. Sam Darnold, at this point in your career, you've been around, 3 other teams before you got here, and you saw how it goes in organizations that aren't run as well or where you don't have the opportunity. San Francisco's sort of the outlier like that. Do you really want to leave this for a ton more money, or do you take a little bit less, understanding I'm in a great environment where we can win a bunch? I've already made a ton of money. Like, I'm usually go and get your bag, but maybe at this point in Sam Darnold's career, the motive is a little bit different. And so if you're Minnesota and you backdoored your way into the situation that, Green Bay had for years where they had a rookie sit behind a starter for a while, that could be advantageous. But knowing there's a weak quarterback class coming up and knowing there's a bunch of teams that have a need, I wonder how desperate someone might get. Because when you look at J.J. McCarthy relative to where he would have been at this class, it's probably at or near the top. And so I do think, to me, while it sounds like sports talk fodder right now, I'll be curious because we know how thirsty people are for quarterback. And would someone pick up the phone and offer them a king's ransom?